the best way to get sellers and buyers to choose you before you actually pitch them? What is going on, my real estate family? My name is Wandile Mr. W. I work very closely with real estate agents, helping them utilize AI and modern technology to get them sellers and buyers. If you guys are going to get a lot of value in this, feel free, guys, to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So jumping straight into this video, guys, I always get questions in terms of, well, the seller only wants to do an open listing, seller only wants to do an open mandate, a buyer says he's a cash buyer but then he disappeared on me, or every time I ask them for their financials, they always disappear on me. How can I secure these leads without me first pitching them? Or how can I get these leads to know, like, and trust me before I actually even go and see them? And how can I get these leads to see me as a credible agent, to see me as an agent that can provide enough influence as well as expertise to help them within their journey? Guys, it's all about pre-selling, and if you don't know how to pre-sell, then guys, you're in trouble. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what are the best ways and the best steps for you to pre-sell your leads before you even see them in person. All right, so I'm going to show you exactly how you can get your leads sold on you before you even say hi to them in person or before you even pitch them. So let's jump straight to my laptop and I'll walk you through exactly how to do it.
All right, my real estate family, let's jump straight into it. The art of pre-selling. And a lot of my videos are going to be focused on sales strategies and things that you guys can utilize for 2025, because at the end of the day, this is ultimately the critical point. This is essentially where I want you guys to start studying this so that by the time Jan hits, you hit the ball rolling. Although I always like to say that the best time to start doing these things is in December, because your buyers and sellers are already in decision mode, right? They are making their decisions in December. They are not making their decisions in January. I'm going to say it again. Your buyers and sellers are making their decisions in December. They are not making their decisions in January. So if you're thinking that in January you're going to get the ball rolling, you have it wrong, because they are going to be sitting down around Christmas time, around December time, thinking about when is the best time for us to buy or sell, or this was a bad year, or this year was a bad year, the kids are moving out, okay, we need to immigrate, okay, no, I'm tired of this, okay, let's make the decision. They make those decisions now in December. Why? Because they're in reflection mode, right? They're looking back at the year. They're looking back in terms of what could they have done better, what could they have improved on. And ultimately the focus here, guys, at the end of the day, is to ensure that they choose you before you pitch, that they choose you before you even aware that they've chosen you. And I'm going to be walking you through in terms of what's the best way to go about it, which is one of the easiest ways. You just have to do the work. Guys, if you guys just do the work, you'll be able to grow way far than you can imagine. But anyways, let's jump straight into it, guys. And this is the art of pre-selling. So how to get sellers to choose you before you pitch. So guys, pre-selling is all programming. Guys, what I mean by programming is we've all been programmed to some extent, okay? I'll tell you a very popular program that we've been pre-sold, and that is the whole, you need to get a matric, get a degree, then after getting it, get a matric, after getting a matric, you need to get a degree, after getting a degree, you need to get married, after getting married, you need to have kids, after you have kids, then you live the South African dream life, right? That, guys, is all a program. Right? That is all a program that we've been pre-sold from a very young age. Why can we all relate to that? Because that is exactly what we've been sold. Okay, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of programs that we've been pre-sold on. And the key here is to raise your level of awareness. Okay, look at how most agents have been pre-sold in terms of, well, it's a numbers game. Right? You need to dial X amount of numbers, and if you dial X amount of numbers, then you're going to do very well. So what are they doing? They're pre-selling you on just putting in more volume and calling all the time, because it's all about numbers. That, guys, you've been pre-sold and you've been programmed. So the goal here, guys, is you need to pre-sell your sellers, because as I said, we've all been programmed. All of us have been programmed, right? We've all been programmed by the government or the school education system, whatever it is, guys. They've all pre-sold us on something, okay? And how you can really find it is just look at what's normal. Look at what's normal in society and then start to question it. Like, have you been pre-sold on this? Like, for example, education. We've been pre-sold on education, on that program. Formal education, if you rather put it that way. Formal education, that is what we've been programmed on and pre-sold, that you need to have formal education if you want to become successful. But I know many successful people that don't have degrees, that don't have anything formal in terms of education, but we were pre-sold on that. So that is a key here, guys. If you want to get sellers and buyers to choose you before you pitch, we have to pre-sell them. So how do we do it? So you need to understand the power of exposure and the right information. How were you pre-sold, right? There was enough exposure and the right information with the right influences in place. So going back into the educational side, right? Formal education. Okay. How were you pre-sold on that? Well, number one, you would always see adverts, or you would always see articles or people speaking about it in terms of education, go study, go to school. How often do you hear that? Go to school, get an education. All right. That is all exposure, right? Where do we see that? We see that in the newspapers. We see that with prominent people speaking about it, right? When people are interviewing entrepreneurs or certain successful people, go get an education. Also people in our space, our environment, right? Family, friends around us. It's always about education, formal education. So that exposure and the right information, eventually it's going to be pre-programmed into your brain, because now in your head you're just like, okay, well, I need to now get a formal education if I want to become successful, because you were exposed for a long period of time with that information, quote unquote right information, that got into your head. Think about how most people were pre-sold that money is the root of all evil. Some of you guys might even feel that way, but a lot of you guys are pre-sold that money is the root of all evil. And then you're surprised when you don't have any money. Okay. What really shifted my perspective is when my mentor told me that no, he doesn't look at money that way. He looks at money like a jealous lover. And he says that if I don't put my attention on money, then money is not going to come towards me. He's like, how he views money is very differently to how poor people view money. He says that he has a really good relationship with money. He says that money loves him. He says that every time he spends money, money cannot wait to come back to him and multiplied. He says that every time he gets money, he multiplies it because money loves him. Money is infatuated with him. Money is just absolutely smitten by him, right? Money cannot spend a day without coming back to him. Money always comes back to him. Money always wants to be surrounded by him. No, can you? The reason why I'm saying all these things is because if you're feeling triggered, or if you're feeling like what, how, then that means that you've been pre-programmed. You've been pre-sold on a program that money's bad, that money's scarce, that there's not enough money. Okay, so can you see how all this programming has been instilled into your mind? And that, guys, is just from exposure. It's just been from what you've been exposed to, and 9 times out of 10 it's your environment. It's the people around you who say that there's not enough money, or how money is scarce, and money is tough. All those things, guys, if you are consistently going to start believing that, then why are you surprised when that's how your life looks like? But if you look at every successful person, they're not afraid about speaking about money. They're not afraid of talking about money. They're not afraid of having a good relationship with money, because they understand, guys, money is not real. Money is paper. Do you think money came from the ground? No, money is not real. So because money is not real, then you're putting so much time, emphasis, and stress and focus on a piece of paper, when if you just changed your programming to looking at money in a positive way, you would start attracting more money. But that's a conversation for another day. I just want you guys to understand the power of exposure and the right information. So where am I getting at with this? The only way, guys, you can pre-sell your sellers or buyers, or to choose you before the pitch, is you need to create enough exposure to your buyers and sellers with the right information. That is key, okay? Because without the right exposure, then this will not work. If you never saw the government and people speaking about education, and your family and the people around you speaking about how you need to get education, then you wouldn't be pre-sold on education, right? So that exposure is very important. Many agents don't understand this, but you need to have the right exposure first before you can influence your sellers. All right. So how do you then create that exposure? So Google did a study which is called the 7-11-4 rule, where they said that in order for businesses to really win, or they looked at the behaviors of digital customers and also physical customers, and they would ask those customers, why did they work with this particular business compared to another business? And they said that, no, well, this business, we're able to find content, we're able to look at their reviews, we're able to watch their videos, we're able to find them on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. We were also able to express interest, and they would send us emails, they would follow up, they'd give us valuable information, etc., etc. So what I mean by that is, the reason why those customers worked with those businesses is because those businesses knew how to pre-sell them by understanding the power of exposure and information. So what Google noticed is that they needed to consume at least 7 hours of content. The question I have to ask you is, do you have at least 7 hours of content? If you don't, then this is not going to work, because remember, as I said, when we've been young, we've been programmed to believe that we need education, formal education. We need to go get a degree. And that happened over the years. So of course, it's way more than 7 hours of content, because it's been constantly drilled inside our mind across different touch points. What I mean by touch points is, it wasn't just through TV, it was through newspapers, it was through people in our lives. Okay, so just different touch points, right? Different environments across 4 different platforms. So four different platforms could be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, as an example. So the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that if you want to pre-sell your sellers and buyers, you need to understand that there needs to be exposure and information, because without exposure and information, then you won't be able to influence them. Notice how just go look at my YouTube videos. Look at how long my YouTube videos are. What am I doing there? All right, I'm providing that exposure, I'm providing information so that you can start consuming, or get to a point where you consume over 7 hours of my content. Because I know if you consume 7 hours of my content, then you're going to eventually start to believe that AI and digital marketing and using technology is the best way to get sellers and buyers without having to do things the traditional way. So this you cannot skip. You have to go and utilize the power of exposure and information. And the best way you can use it, guys, as I've always been saying, I have a lot of videos, go check it out on Instagram, create video content. That's the fastest and the easiest way, guys, for you to get the 7 hours of content. And then you can chop up those 7 hours of those videos into different content pieces. So you can chop up those different content pieces, send emails on it, put it on a blog, or post it on social media, right? So you've got different touch points across different platforms. That's the best way to get that exposure and spread the information. And they need to be consuming this consistently. You're not doing this once and then do it another 3 months later. You're doing this every single day, because the more you do it, the more you drilling it into their mind. Okay. So as I said, how to get sellers to choose you before the pitch. Pre-selling is all programming. You need to understand the power of exposure and the right information. Then you need to build your own framework to pre-sell your leads. Okay. So what do I mean by building your own framework to pre-sell your leads? You need to have a strategy in terms of how are you pre-selling your leads, because if you don't know what's working, then it's hard to repeat it. So for example, if I built a car from scratch, but I didn't actually have a framework in place, and you asked me to build another car, I wouldn't be able to do it, purely because everything that I did and that I built out was just purely from me being in flow. And what I mean by being in flow is just using my creativity to align everything together, but I didn't track everything. Okay, so it's all about how do you have a proven framework that's going to work. So how do you do that? You want to build out your own framework, and I'll walk you through in terms of what's the best way to make sure that you always improve on it. But I can tell you now, guys, this is the best framework you can utilize: content, ad, automation, direct message. So what I mean by that is, this framework I've seen hands down has been the best way to, 1, pre-sell your leads, and number 2, get them to know, like, and trust you a lot faster and quicker. So what do I mean by that? You want to create as much content as possible, right? So whether it's long form or short form, once you now have the content, make sure you're posting that content. Now, once you're posting that content, if you don't have a big following, even if you do have a big following, what's happening now is that there's not enough reach or exposure on your content. So what I mean by that is, let's say you've got 10,000 followers. If you post a video, only, let's say, 100 or 2,000 people will be able to see it. That's only 20% of your total followers who are going to see that. So now, are you going to be able to influence your entire follower base? No, because only 20% of those people saw that piece of content. However, when you run an ad on that piece of content to your followers, now what's happening? Now at least to be able to get 80% or even 100% of your followers to take a look into their content, so that there's that awareness and you're building that exposure. Now we need the automation. Why? Because let's say, for example, you had people that watched, let's say you had 10,000 people that watched your video, but of the 10,000 people, let's say 7,000 of them watched 50% of your video. Now we need an automation strategy that's going to state and say, hey, look, okay, 7,000 people watch 50% of the video, so we want to make sure that they watch 100% of the video. So we're going to show them the video again, or we're going to show them another video similar to the video that they've watched. That is automation, right? And there's different tools that you can utilize. But the whole purpose of an automation side is to make sure that if they've watched 30% of the video, show them this video. And then if they've watched 50% of the video, show them this video. What are we doing here, guys? We are building that, we're creating more exposure. And we're providing the right information so we can get them to learn, like, and trust us before we're able to pre-sell them, right? Or essentially pre-selling them with that information. Okay, so that's the whole purpose of automation. And then direct message, this is the goal here. The focus now is for us to then directly message them. If we can see that they've followed our entire framework, let's say we only directly message people who've watched 10 videos and they've watched more than 50% of our videos. I can tell you now, 9 times out of 10, if someone has watched more than 10 videos and they've watched more than 50% of your videos, they're going to find a video that they like and they're going to direct message you and tell you how that video resonated with them, or they're going to like it, or they're going to comment. Those are the right people that you want to be engaging with, because now these people have been successfully pre-framed. These people have been successfully pre-sold. And what I mean by successfully pre-sold is that your information has struck a chord with them. You've created an epiphany moment. And then what you can do is that if they comment or if they like it, then you want to send them a direct message and build a conversation from there. But the only way you can really figure that out is by having your own framework. I've seen this framework works very well. Creating as much content, running ads in the content to build more exposure, and then having automations in place to make sure that they're not just watching one video, but they're watching multiple videos, so we can get them to like, share, comment. And then what we do is that we take a look at everyone who's liked, shared, and comment, and we send them a direct message and see how we can sell them from there. That is the best way to do it, okay? Now, once you've built out your own framework, now this is where I see many agents lose out. You need to reiterate, you need to reiterate, and you need to reiterate. So what do I mean by that? Guys, you need to test out different types of content that's working well. All right, you cannot just post one type of content and assume that's going to work. I would say test out as many different pieces or as many different topics as possible, and then see which ones stick. The ones that stick, then you want to focus more on that type of content and do variations of that type of content. So let's say you're doing content on buying and selling, and you've noticed that a lot of your content on selling is getting more likes, comments, and shares. Then you want to do more content on selling. And now that you're doing more content on selling, you want to create different pieces of content of selling. Let's say you speak about pricing your house, how to improve, how to renovate properly, why you shouldn't be working with an agent, right? And then you want to be looking at those different pieces of content and look at the ones that perform the best. And then the ones that perform the best, you want to focus on that core principle. Let's say you've noticed the one that performed the best is how to not work with an agent. Then you want to start creating more content in terms of strategies that they can utilize without working with an agent, right? I know it sounds a bit opposite, but you'll notice how powerful that is, because now you're creating content that they can relate to, which means that they're going to like you more and they're going to trust you. But you can only figure that out until you're testing out different pieces of content, which means that you need to be consistent with it. If you're not consistent with this, then I don't know why you're watching this. Then you need to test out different ad strategies. So now that you found the content pieces that are working, you need to test out different ad strategies. Do you want to run an ad directly with a video, or do you want to run an ad where you maybe have a PDF and they can download it? I don't know, but the whole purpose here is to test out different ads to see what your market wants. Once you find what works, then you can test out different automation flows. So you can be like, okay, cool. I've noticed that these are my top 5 content pieces of the videos that I like to run. And I've noticed that when I run direct ads to my follower base and I say, for example, comment down below your best, comment down below your thoughts or opinions. If I notice that that's the best ad that runs, then I'm going to make sure with the automations that I'm doing, I'm going to make sure that I find the top 5 videos. And then if maybe let's say somebody saw video number 5, but they haven't seen video number 1, then I'll make sure those who watch video number 5 will then go and watch video number 1. And those who maybe started off watching video number 3 will need to start watching video number 2. So that's what I mean by having the right automations. And you can do that. There's so many tools. Let me know in the comments if that's exactly what you want me to speak about the next time. But those are powerful ways, guys, to, again, what are we doing here? Indoctrination. We're pre-selling them. We want them to know, like, and trust us. Then you also want to test out direct messages. You want to test out, okay, when you're direct, how does that work? Or when you focus a little bit more on consultative selling, how does that work? Those are very important so that you know exactly how to speak to them and you know exactly how to address their needs and pain points, and that's what's going to help you close the deal, okay? Now, lastly, Once you find your winners, you just want to repeat this entire process. That's it. Find your winners and then repeat it. And what you're going to notice is that you're going to have a bunch of people who have just started watching your content, and it's now just going to take about a week or two before they become pre-sold. The focus here is for you now to have an idea in terms of, okay, I can easily take someone who knows nothing about the content that I'm speaking about, and then in a week or two they're going to know everything that they need to know, and they're going to see me as the best real estate agent to work with, so that now you have people approaching you and they're saying, hey, look, I want to work with you because you're the best, I like your content, I trust you, I agree with everything that you're saying. Look, actually, you can come to my house, let's sign the contract, let's sign the deal. That is how you do it. That is how you do it, guys. If you want to know how to get sellers and buyers to choose you before you pitch or before you showcase why you're the best, you want to do it before. Where do many agents go wrong? They like to do it afterwards. They like to pitch after they've seen the seller. That doesn't work, guys. The best way to really win is to get them to make the decision to work with you before they even contact you. That, guys, is when you know that you've pre-sold correctly, and that, my ladies and gents, is when you know that you've really done the best that you could to help and assist them. So if you guys got a lot of value in that, guys, feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I do have digital courses that break this down in full detail. I have added in the link in the description. Go check it out. They're very affordable just to help you reach the next level. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.